Taliwala sa atong nasinating ang mga katalakay. Dili pwede pugnan ug malangan ang edukasyon sa atong mga kabataan. No stoppage of learning. Education must go on. Maoy hinungdan na namugna kining tulumanon og programa sa pagpalambo sa atong mga kabataan pinaagi sa kahanginan. DepEd, PAGADIAN, Edukasyon sa Kabataan. DepEd, PAGADIAN, Edukasyon sa Kabataan. Usa ka oras nga programa nga mabati matag alas 8 hangtod sa alas 9 sa buntag. Lunes hangtod sa adlaw nga Biyernes. Dinhi sa Radyo Sakto PAGADIAN DXMB FM 105.3 sa Malindang Broadcasting Network Corporation. DepEd, PAGADIAN, Edukasyon sa Kabataan.
Usa ka maayong adlaw nga Lunes, mga suking mga tigpaminaw. Alas 8:06 na sa buntag. Welcome na usab sa ato ang programa dinhi sa 105.3 Malindang Broadcasting Network. Ang DepEd sa PAGADIAN, Edukasyon sa Kabataan. Ako ang inyong ubos nga higala, Teacher Cheryl. Nagaingong maayong buntag ug daghang salamat no kay nagkauban na usab kita karong adlaw. And ato ang i-welcome ang ako ang co-anchor karong buntag, Sir Dino Albiar, nga murag predator, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Ma'am Shi. Good morning sa atong mga listener. Good morning usab diha sa atong timog pwersa sa City Division PAGADIAN City. Hasan ni ako ang mga kauban diri sa katubangan ng mga nga maabtikon nga mga supervisors karon sa math o sa science.
Yes. Sir Dean, we are so very thankful for having you again here. Nagpasalamat jud ta sa buhing Dios no kay kita tanan healthy gyud hantod karon. And good morning Ma'am Mila and good morning Sir Salem.
Good morning Ma'am Shi and Sir Dean. It's Monday morning again, time for science. Good morning sa nan nga naminaw karon sa ating programa DepEd PAGADIAN, Edukasyon sa Kabataan. May buntag sa atong mga grade 7 students kay sila ang atong giitutukan karon. Parents and all teachers, despite the overwhelming consequences of the pandemic, global extraordinary time for learning. Sir Kem?
Yes. Okay. Good morning Sir Kem.
Yes, good morning Ma'am Mel. Good morning Ma'am Shi. Good morning Sir Deno. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dumpiya sa salam. Ulit tayong buntag na usab. Mga kaigsuunan. Ang atong kauban diha sa Division Office, may buntag usab. Nga naminaw karon. Og malipayong buntag usab sa tanang naminaw ning atong programa sa kahanginan DepEd PAGADIAN, Edukasyon sa Kabataan. Dinhi lamang sa 105.3 DXMB FM Malindang Broadcasting Network. Mga pinalanggan namo nga mga ginikanan ilabi na sa atong mga kabataan sa Mathematics Grade 11. Maayong buntag kaninyong tanan ug ang kalinaw manaa kanatong tanan.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you so much Sir Salem no. And we would also like to say good morning to our SDS Sir Danny Cordova, ingon man usab ang ato ang Assistant Schools Division Superintendent Dr. Maria Colleen Emoricha.
Okay.
O sir, ato akong i-greet no ato ang SGOD Chief
Okay.
and CID Chief.
Good morning diha ngang Ma'am Peralta, ang ato ang CID Chief, ang atong SGOD diha, ang atong ambungan nga sa Sir Sagani di Kabahog. Sir, good morning kaninyo tanan diha.
Yes, and also sir, before nato malimtan ang ato ang mga active nga mga teachers and at the same time ato ang mga bata nga naminaw karon para yun di sa ilahan ning atong program.
Correct.
Dayon sir, unsa man nga subject ang ato ang unang i-air?
Ang atong una karon ang science karon. Ang ato ang bisita karon o magpaila sa atong bisita ato ang maabtikon o scientifico nga pangunahuna si Ma'am Mila Araw. Ma'am, good morning.
Good morning once again. Karon aduna kita duha ka very competent science teacher discussion, Sir Dean and Ma'am Shi. We have here with us Miss Maria Cristina Ni Pearl Tipot de la Rama, a teacher 3, and Miss Cecil P. Acohedo, master teacher 2 of PAGADIAN City National Comprehensive High School. They're going to discuss about the Grade 7 Science Quarter 3, Module 7, in which the competency is about the different types of charging process. So therefore, our pupils are expected to describe the different types of charging process.
Okay.
Dinhi lamang sa 105.3 Malindang Broadcasting Network, matag alas 8 hangtod alas 9 sa buntag. Ako, si Teacher Criza.
ug ako si Teacher Cecil. Kami ang inyuhang kauban sa pagkaton kabahin sa Grade 7 module. Maayong buntag, Teacher Criza, and to all our listeners, especially to our Grade 7 students.
First of all, let us give thanks to our God for this wonderful day He has given us. Lord, salamat sa higayon nga imong gihatag kanamo karong adlaw. Thank you for giving us wisdom as we are going to discuss a very important topic today. Guide us and our listeners, and may they always learn something new today. We are very happy that you are here with us.
And we hope nga ready na mo maminaw sa atong leksyon karong adlaw. Just stay tuned in our station because we will make sure that our entire duration will be an informative and productive one.
So, unsa pa inyong gihulat? Come on, please join us in exploring our lesson for today. Our dear listeners, please get your module, andama po ang inyong ballpen o papel, kay mag-discuss kita sa Module 7 of the 3rd quarter of Science 7, entitled Charges and Charging Process.
So, Teacher Criza, unsa man atong gi-expect na makuha sa atong mga estudyante paghuman sa atong lesson?
Well, to answer that question, right after this module, students are expected to identify the types of charges and describe the different charging process.
Wow! So, interesting kaayo ang atong leksyon karong adlaw. So, students, ready na ba mo sa pag-achieve sa atong mga expectations? Do not worry guys, because we will be your partners in achieving those things. And together, we sure we can be.
Before ta magsugod, Teacher Sil, atwa sa i-highlight ang mga task na dapat nilang himuon for this topic.
Right. So, for our first task, let us proceed to page 1 entitled, What's In? In the previous lesson, you learned about heat as a form of energy, and it can be transferred through conduction, convection, and radiation. Diri sa atong module karon, atong hisgutan ang another form of energy which is electricity. Sa atong panahon karon, tanang tawo nagamit og gadgets of different appliances sa balay nga gigamitan og kuryente. Pero daghan sa atoa ang wala kabalo nga ang kuryente gikan sa motion of charges.
In this part, you will identify the two regions of an atom. Isulat sad ninyo students kung unsa may makita sa sulod ana nga mga regions.
O diba, kaya kaayo? We know that we can do it, students. Okay, let's proceed now to our next task. On page 2, what's new, entitled Match Me, Pair Me.
In this task, you need to refer to figure 1 in activity 1. Kinahanglan nimo i-match ang column A sa column B. Isulat ang imong answer sa space provided sa inyong module.
Take note, students. You need to familiarize the words and for better understanding, inyuha po i-research ang mga words. It is very important that you know the meanings of these words because it will make your next task easier to read and understand.
That's right, Teacher Sil. You got it, students? Please stay tuned in our station because later on, we will be giving clues on how to answer the assessment part of this module.
Okay, are you still there, students? Just maintain your focus, huh? Next activity. Open your module on page 7 entitled What I Can Do, Positive or Negative. I think they are on the same page with me. Right, Teacher Criza?
Of course, teacher. Active kaayo atong mga grade 7 students. So students, in this part, please look at the table. Kung imuhang ma-observe, aduna kini mga blank spaces nga gikinahanglan ikumpleto based sa triboelectric series. Please study the comic strip entitled Adventures in Electric World nga makita nimo sa page 8.
Ayaw usab ninyo kalimti og answer ang mga guide questions. Question number 1. Does the charge of the material remain the same when paired up with other material? Question number 2. What is your basis in determining the charge of the material? Explain your answer. And number 3. What type of charging is used in the activity?
That's right, Teacher Sil. After answering activity 2, positive or negative, you will answer activity 2A, to charge or not to charge nga naa sa page 9. Imuha lamang i-perform ang activity ug sundon ang mga procedures. Ug ayaw kalimti students ug answer ang inyong mga guide questions.
Amazing kaayo ang mga activities, Teacher Criza. Students, after answering activity 2A to charge not to charge, please proceed to activity 2B. Pass the charge in the same page. Perform the activity by following the procedure and answer the guide questions.
Yes, Ma'am Sil. Amazing and very interesting ang mga activities for this module. Now, please turn your module to page 10. What I have learned, activity 3 entitled Shade Me. Answer it by shading the word that corresponds to the given phrases. And then, proceed dayon mo to page 11 and answer what I can do. Activity 4 entitled Where I Belong. All you have to do is to complete the table and imo i-identify ang process of charging nga present sa pictures.
So think, jud mga students ha. Very important ni kay para na ay application ang inyong mga learnings for today.
And for the additional activities in page 13, you will make a comic strip about the given figures. Be reminded, students, that you will base this on the rubrics. Right, Teacher Sil?
You're right, Teacher Krisa. These are the following rubrics: content, spelling, and grammar, and visual effect.
So if naamoy mga clarification, students, you can always go back and read to what is it nga naa sa page 2 to 6 section of your module.
Alright, we are done highlighting all the tasks in our module. At this moment, we will now be discussing the concepts in our module. Ready, students? Okay, turn to page 2 of your module entitled What is it? So that you can follow our discussion.
So students, are we ready? Teacher Sil, I have a question. Are you frequently using gadgets at home? Mga appliances nga nagamit og kuryente?
Yes, Teacher Krisa. In these modern times, we are frequently using electricity. Dili gyud kumpleto ang adlaw kung dili ta mokubi sa atong mga phones or maglantaw og news from our television.
That's true, Teacher Sil. Almost everything is using electricity. And because of that, today, we will talk about electricity.
Electricity? That sounds fun, Teacher Krisa.
Yes, you heard it right. When we talk about electricity, you also hear the word energy. Kaya ang electricity is a form of energy. Electricity can make our appliance work, and today, atong paggahisgutan ang charges and different charging process. First, let's talk about electric charges. Kita diri tanan sa kalibutan is made up of atoms and made up of different subatomic particles. Do you agree, Teacher Sil?
Agree kayo, Teacher Krisa. Atoms are made up of subatomic particles which are the protons, neutrons, nga makita nimo sa sulod sa nucleus sa atoms, ug ang electrons nga naa makita sa gawas sa nucleus.
Correct, Teacher Sil. Ang protons are said to be positively charged. Ang neutrons, mauna sila ang mga gitawag natong neutral charges. Ug ang electrons may negatively charged, that is the only moving part of the atom.
Teacher Krisa, these three subatomic particles also play a very important role in charging process. Teacher Krisa, maka-affect ba ang conductivity sa electricity based sa klase sa materials?
Yes, of course, Teacher Sil. These materials can be classified as insulators or conductors.
Mao ba, Teacher Criza?
Oo, Teacher Sil. Insulators do not conduct electricity very well. Ang mga materials nga classified as insulators kay naka-attach ang ilang electron sa atom, which is, ang atong nahibalan kay free-moving ang mga electrons. Meaning, tungod kay kini naka-attach sa atom, dili kini maka-transfer sa another atom. Therefore, makababag kini sa free flow of charges. Maunang dili ta makuryentehan.
Wow! Sakto, Teacher Criza. Mga bata, maudin na kung naatay makita or ma-witness nga makurintihan, kinahanglan atong birahon siya gamit iyang buhok or mogamit og butang nga dili makakandak og kuryente. Sama sa kahoy, plastic or bunga. Even ang atong buhok kay insulator pod kini. Tungod kay dili man makakandak og electricity.
Tama kaayo, Teacher Sil. Conductors, on the other hand, has electrons that are loosely bound to the atom, meaning dali ra kaayo maka-transfer ang ilang electrons gikan sa usa ka butang padulong sa laing butang. Metals o kita mga tao kay good conductors of electricity.
Sakto gayud, Teacher Criza.
Now, Teacher Sil, have you ever tried to extend your hand near a switch-on television? What have you noticed?
My hair are going towards the screen of the television.
Good observation, Teacher Sil. That's what we call static electricity. Kining static electricity kay electric charges at rest. Teacher Sil, familiar ba ka sa law of electric charges?
Yes, Teacher Criza. Students, please listen. The law of electric charges states that like charges repel, opposite charges attracts. Ang proton, which is positively charged, attracts the electrons nga negatively charged. Because unlike charges attracts, while same charges repel. So do not attracts kay same charges man.
Nice one, Teacher Sil. Hope naminaw mo ato mga students. Now, let's talk about charging process. Naatay tulo ka types sa charging process mga students. We have charging by friction, charging by conduction, and charging by induction.
You're right, Teacher Criza. Let's first talk about charging by friction. Charging by friction is also rubbing of two different materials against each other. Ang mga electrons may transfer from one object to another. Item may be charged from contact.
So, students, friction is when you rub something gikan sa usa ka butang padulong sa laing butang, and sometimes it produce heat. Example, when you rub your hands and kung makabantay ka, kini mo init. It is also the reason why our bodies get charged when we walk across a carpeted floor. Pag nagsudlay ta sa atong buhok, kung makabantay mo, manindog ang tumoy sa atong mga buhok.
Now, to better understand, try to look at the triboelectric series found on page 3 of your module. It shows kung unsa kadali ma-charge ang usa ka butang pinaagi sa friction or ang pag-rub ani sa laing butang. Tribo means to rub.
So remember students, during sa charging process, ang amount of charge nga gilus sa usa ka object is the same sa amount of charge nga gigain pod sa laing object. This is based on the law of conservation of charge, which states that charges cannot be transferred from one material to another. Thus, the total charges in a system remains constant.
Okay, now let's proceed to charge by conduction. So students, listen, conduction is the transfer of electrons from a charged object to another object by direct contact. Conduction between two objects happens when ang charge sa usa ka object kay unbalanced or unequal sa usa ka object. Ang electrons usab diri kay can move easily from one another or one object to the other object.
Muad lang pug ko Teacher Sil, no? Specifically, if ang duha ka conductors, like kaning naa sa example sa atong module page 4, illustration 2a to 2b, these are metals with unequal charge. And when they touch, the electrons will move to balance out the charge on each metal. And at many points throughout the charge transfer, always gyud ta na ay same number of protons and electrons. In other words, electric charge is conserved.
That's right. Charging by conduction is considered as permanent since an electrons move to the new object until the object is grounded. Are you following, students? For our last type of charging process, let's talk about charging by induction.
Okay mga students, makinig ha. Charging by induction happens when charged object is brought near but doesn't touch. Yes, you heard it right. It doesn't touch a conductor. Tungod sa attraction sa opposite charges, which is positive and negative, and the repulsion between like charges, ang electron sa conductor will move around kung naay paduol nga charged object. Ang charged object will create a magnetic field nga mo-push or mo-pull sa electrons within the conductor.
Correct, Teacher Kriza. In addition, induction creates a temporary and opposite charge in that other object with no contact. Temporary siya because walay electron nga nag-transfer, and neutrality returns kung ang charged object kay na-remove na.
Last, let's talk about discharging. So students, discharging is the process of removing excess or sobrang nga charges sa usa ka object. Kung ang pag-discharge kay gihimo by means o pag-provide og path between sa charged object and sa ground, ang tawag ana kay grounding. Grounding is necessary in electrical devices and equipment since ma-prevent niya ang build-up sa excess charges when dili kini kinahanglan. Alright! Congratulations everyone! We are now done with the topic, charges and charging process. I hope everything is clear and understood.
It's just easy, right, students? But if you still have clarifications, you can always go back to what is it section of your module.
For now, please open your module to page 12 and get your pen for the assessment.
Are you ready now, students? We will start discussing the assessment. Let's start with number 1. Two unlike charges, blank. Letter A, attract each other. B, repel each other. C, neutralize each other. Letter D, have no effect on each other. What do you think is the answer for this item, Teacher Kriza?
Well, Teacher Sil, the answer is letter A. It attracts each other. According to the law of charges, like charges repel, while two unlike charges attract.
Okay, students, tama, Teacher Kriza. The answer is letter A. It attracts each other.
Alright, let's proceed to number 2. Which of the following is not a process of charging? A, induction. B, friction. C, conduction. Or D, convection. Teacher Sil, do you want to answer?
I will try, Teacher Kriza. Naminaw man ko nimo ganiha while discussing. For number 2, since we are referring to the process of charging, we only have 3 types. Charging by friction, conduction, and induction. So I believe letter D is the correct answer, convection.
You've really paid attention to what I was saying earlier, Teacher Sil. And I hope students are also retaining the information given to them. Let's now proceed to number 3.
Material A is positively charged. When brought near to a material B, they attract. Which of the following is true? A. Material B is negatively charged. B. Material B is positively charged. Letter C, material B is uncharged. For letter D, both are uncharged. What's your answer, Teacher Criza?
For number 3, kaya kayo ni ansiran sa itong mga students, Teacher Sil. My answer is letter A. Material B is negatively charged. Because remember, unlike charges, attracts.
Correct, Teacher Criza. See, students, if you have the concepts of charges, easy na lang kaayo ang pag-answer sa atong mga questions.
That's right, Teacher Sil. Now, let's proceed to number 4. Material B has become positively charged after rubbing with the material A. Which of the following statement is correct? A. Material B loses protons. B. Material B gains electrons. C. Material A loses proton. Or D. Material A gains electron. What's your answer, Teacher Sil?
For me, the answer for number 4 is letter A. Material B loses protons. Because when two materials are rubbed together, some electrons may be transferred from one material to the other material. The material that lost electron will become positively charged, while the material that gained electrons becomes negatively charged.
Thank you, Teacher Sil. And now, we're halfway to the assessment. Are you still there, students? I hope you're still alive, alert, awake, and enthusiastic.
Let's proceed now to question number 5. What will happen when two unlike charges are brought together? They will A. Repel each other, B. Neutralize each other, C. Attract each other, or letter D. No effect on each other. What's your answer, Teacher Criza?
The answer is C, Teacher Sil. They attract each other. Again, unlike charges, attracts. Diba, students?
Tama, unlike charges attracts.
Okay, let's jump to number 6. If you comb your hair and the comb becomes positively charged, then your hair becomes blank. A. Positively charged, B. Negatively charged, C. Uncharged, or D. Discharged.
Well, Teacher Criza, for me, the answer is letter B, negatively charged. Because when you comb your hair, electrons pass on gikan sa atong buhok padulong sa sudlay. As a result, hair becomes positively charged and the comb becomes negatively charged. Do you have the same answer with me, mga students?
Correct, Teacher Sil. O diba, students? Very easy na, no?
So we have 6 questions done. So 4 more questions to go, students. I hope you're still there. So let's have number 7 and 8. Please refer this on your module on page 3 on triboelectric series. Okay, let's have number 7 first. Which of the following pairs has the strongest electrical force of attraction? Letter A, Velcro and Lufko. Letter B, Zismo and Melgi. Letter C, Zatsky and Melgi. Letter D, Camry and Zatsky. Teacher Crane, what's your answer for this?
Teacher Sil, it's definitely letter D.
Is that your final answer, Teacher Criza?
Yes, Teacher Sil. That's my final answer.
You got it correctly. The answer is letter D. Well, if same mong answer ni Teacher Criza, then you are also correct.
Wow, Teacher Sil, that is a nerve-wracking moment.
Now it's your turn. What is your answer to this question, Teacher Crane? Which of the following would have a negative net charge when rubbed with carmine? A. Lukfu, B. Velcro, C. Zatsky, or D. Melgi?
The answer is letter C. If you notice, Teacher Sil, Zatsky is next to Melgi, and in the triboelectric series, materials on the higher area is mostly having positive charges. So when you rub to Camry, electrons transfer to Camry and it makes Zatsky becomes negatively charged.
So the answer is letter C. Nakuha ba nato mga students? Kapit lang, hapit na ta. Yes, tama talaga, Teacher Krisa. So, students? We are nearing our last stretch already. So, I just wish nga mo hold on lang mo din ha in your seats. Again, for number 8, the correct answer is letter C. Okay, let's move on to question number 9. A negatively charged rod is brought near a metal can that rests on a wooden box. You touch the opposite side of the can momentarily with your finger. If you remove your finger before the removing rod, what will happen to the can? A. It will be discharged. B. It will become positively charged. Letter C. It will become negatively charged. Or D. Its charge will remain as it was. Teacher Krisa, any thoughts on this?
Well, Teacher Seal, since the can has equal charges of positive and negative, when a negatively charged rod touches the can, the electrons pulls away from the rod, leaving the positive charges attracts to it. When you touch the other side of the can by your finger momentarily and remove it before the rod, the electrons transfer to your fingers, leaving the positively charged particles behind. So the answer is letter B. It becomes positively charged.
Students, do you have the same answer with Teacher Krisa? If yes, then you are correct. You are really using those brain cells to use.
That's right. Many of our students are really exerting effort to answer their modules, Teacher Seal, and they are tuning into this station would really help them in their module session. Kapit lang, students. And for the last number, number 10, here we go. Which of the following can be attracted by a positively charged object? A. Another positively charged object. B. Any object. C. Neutral object. D. No other object. What's your answer, Teacher Seal?
I know our students can answer this, Teacher Krisa. For me, the answer is letter C. Neutral objects both attracts to positive.
Right. It is indeed letter C, Teacher Seal. Good job. Just remember, students, that like charges repel and unlike charges attract.
That's right, Teacher Krisa. Okay. Thanks God we are done. Good job to all of us. Are you satisfied? Do not worry because we have plenty of modules to discuss very soon.
Thank you very much for being with us and for actively listening. We hope that we help you in answering your module easier and with fun. And for that, please join me in giving a round of applause for everyone. This is Maria Crisani Pearl Q. de la Rama
And Cecil P. Acohedo,
at your service till we meet again.
bye!
Alright, so thank you so much sa ato ang mga science teachers for discussing that topic. Ma'am Mil, congratulations!
Thank you, Ma'am Shir. Thank you very much, Teacher Kisa and Teacher Cecile. The way you present your lesson stirred the inquisitiveness of our students. Very interesting. You made it easy for students to understand. Congratulations to both of you.
Yes. Okay. So, congratulations again to our teacher discussants. Sir Dean, wala kay laing i-add to?
Wala na lang ma'am kay para atong matagaan higayon ang ato pang ambungan nga education program supervisor sa ato ang mathematics.
Exactly. Yes. So, this time, ato ang ihatag ang microphone kang Sir Salem Uyag para i-introduce sa ato ang radio broadcaster.
Once again, thank you very much, Ma'am Shi and Sir Deno. Good morning again. Adlaw na usab nga Lunes para sa mathematics. Karong buntaga na nausab kita radio teacher nga maghisgot sa grade 11, module 8 about STEM, basic calculus on related rates. He is a teacher 3 of Zamboanga del Sur National High School, Senior High School. he finished his Bachelor of Science in Mathematics at MSU IIT. He has already completed academic requirements in Master of Science in Mathematics at MSU IIT. He also finished his Master of Arts in Mathematics at St. Columban College. He is also an exemplar writer of this division. Our radio teacher this morning for Math 11 is Teacher Leonardo G. Alves.
Good morning, Pagadian. Good morning, grade 11 STEM students, parents, and to all our listeners. How are you today, grade 11 STEM students? Og sa atong mga soking tigpaminaw, kumusta kamong tanan? I know that you are all doing well. It is my pleasure to be with you this morning for another episode of School on the Air, grade 11 Basic Calculus Instruction. I am Leonardo Alves, your friendly math teacher from Zamboanga del Sur National High School, Senior High School. Are you ready to learn basic calculus this morning? But before we start, please get your Module 8 in Basic Calculus, your pen, and a paper. Let's have a review first on our previous topic from Module 7. Do you still remember implicit differentiation? Very good. Okay. The majority of differentiation problems in basic calculus involves function y written explicitly as a function of the independent variable x. This means that we can write the function in the form y is equal to f of x. For such a function, we can find the derivative directly. However, some functions y are written implicitly as a function of x. This means that expression is not given directly in the form y is equal to f of x, but in the more complicated form that makes it difficult or impossible to express y explicitly in terms of x. Such functions are called implicit function, and y is said to be defined implicitly. Thus, the process of solving the derivative of an implicit function is called implicit differentiation. Most of the time, mangutana ta unsay gamit sa derivative sa atong kinabuhi. Kay dili man ta magamit og derivative kung muadto ta sa merkado. So our topic for today will help us solve real-life situations using implicit differentiation, and it is called related rates. Unsa day kining related rates? So a related rates problems concerns the relationship among the rates of change of several variables with respect to time, given that each variable is also dependent to one another. So in particular, if y is dependent on x, then the rate of change of y with respect to time is dependent on the rate of change of x with respect to time also. That is, dy dt is dependent on dx dt. That, unsa ganinang dy dt, the derivative of y with respect to t, and dx dt also is the derivative of x with respect to t. Here are the steps in solving problems involving related rates. Number 1. If possible, provide an illustration for the problem that is valid for any time t. Number 2. Identify those quantities that change with respect to time and represent them with variables. Number 3. Write down any numerical facts known about the variables. Interpret each rate of change as the derivative of a variable with respect to time. Remember that if a quantity decreases over time, then its rate of change is negative. Number 4. Identify which rate of change is being asked and under what particular conditions this rate is being computed. Number 5. Write an equation showing the relationship of all the variables by an equation that is valid for any time t. Number 6. Differentiate the equation in number 5 implicitly with respect to time. Number 7. Substitute into the equation obtained in number 6 all values that are valid at the particular time of interest. Sometimes, some quantities still need to be solved by substituting the particular conditions written in number 4 to the equation in number 6. Then solve for what is being asked in the problem. So let's have an example. Example number 1. A water droplet falls onto a steel pan and creates concentric circular ripples that propagate away from the center. Assuming that the rate of the ripple is increasing at the rate of 2 pi cm squared per second. Find the rate at which the radius is increasing at an instant when the radius is 10 cm. So let's have the solution. So we are going to solve this step by step using the above guidelines. So on Section number 1, if possible, we are going to show an illustration. So naatay circle, of course, na Good morning, PAGADIAN. Good morning, grade 11 STEM students, parents, and to all our listeners. How are you today, grade 11 STEM students? Og sa atong mga soking tigpaminaw, kumusta kamong tanan? I know that you are all doing well. It is my pleasure to be with you this morning for another episode of School on the Air, grade 11 Basic Calculus Instruction. I am Leonardo Olves, your friendly math teacher from Zamboanga del Sur National High School, Senior High School. Are you ready to learn basic calculus this morning? But before we start, please get your Module 8 in Basic Calculus, your pen and a paper. Let's have a review first on our previous topic from Module 7. Do you still remember implicit differentiation? Very good. Good morning, PAGADIAN. Good morning, grade 11 STEM students, parents, and to all our listeners. How are you today, grade 11 STEM students? Og sa atong mga soking tigpaminaw, kumusta kamong tanan? I know that you are all doing well. It is my pleasure to be with you this morning for another episode of School on the Air, grade 11 Basic Calculus Instruction. I am Leonardo Olves, your friendly math teacher from Zamboanga del Sur National High School, Senior High School. Are you ready to learn basic calculus this morning? But before we start, please get your Module 8 in Basic Calculus, your pen and a paper. Let's have a review first on our previous topic from Module 7. Do you still remember implicit differentiation? Very good. Okay. The majority of differentiation problems in basic calculus involves function y written explicitly as a function of the independent variable x. This means that we can write the function in the form y is equal to f of x. For such a function, we can find the derivative directly. However, some functions y are written implicitly as a function of x. This means that expression is not given directly in the form y is equal to f of x, but in the more complicated form that makes it difficult or impossible to express y explicitly in terms of x. Such functions are called implicit function, and y is said to be defined implicitly. Thus, the process of solving the derivative of an implicit function is called implicit differentiation. Most of the time, mangutana ta unsay gamit sa derivative sa atong kinabuhi. Kay dili man ta magamit og derivative kung muadto ta sa merkado. So our topic for today will help us solve real-life situations using implicit differentiation, and it is called related rates. Unsa day kining related rates? So related rates problems concerns the relationship among the rates of change of several variables with respect to time, given that each variable is also dependent to one another. So in particular, if y is dependent on x, then the rate of change of y with respect to time is dependent on the rate of change of x with respect to time also. That is, dy dt is dependent on dx dt. That, unsa ganinang dy dt, the derivative of y with respect to t, and dx dt also is the derivative of x with respect to t. Here are the steps in solving problems involving related rates. Number 1. If possible, provide an illustration for the problem that is valid for any time t. Number 2. Identify those quantities that change with respect to time and represent them with variables. Number 3. Write down any numerical facts known about the variables. Interpret each rate of change as the derivative of a variable with respect to time. Remember that if a quantity decreases over time, then its rate of change is negative. Number 4. Identify which rate of change is being asked and under what particular conditions this rate is being computed. Number 5. Write an equation showing the relationship of all the variables by an equation that is valid for any time t. Number 6. Differentiate the equation in number 5 implicitly with respect to time. Number 7. Substitute into the equation obtained in number 6 all values that are valid at the particular time of interest. Sometimes, some quantities still need to be solved by substituting the particular conditions written in number 4 to the equation in number 6. Then solve for what is being asked in the problem. So let's have an example. Example number 1. A water droplet falls onto a steel pan and creates concentric circular ripples that propagate away from the center. Assuming that the rate of the ripple is increasing at the rate of 2 pi cm squared per second. Find the rate at which the radius is increasing at an instant when the radius is 10 cm. So let's have the solution. So we are going to solve this step by step using the above guidelines. So ito number 1, if possible, we are going to show an illustration. So naatay circle, of course naay area sa circle, ug naay radius. So again, kung atong balikon ang problem, naay nagtulo nga tubig sa pan, so naay circles nga maporma. So kanisa nga circles magkadako, og of course magkadako ang area, magkadako pod ang radius. So let R and A be the radius and area respectively of a circle ripple at any time t. So number 2, the given rate of change is dA dt. That is equal to 2 pi cm squared per second. So as you can see again, ang circle magkadako, therefore ang area niya magkadako. So dA dt is a positive quantity. we are asked to find dr dt at the instant when r is equal to 10. So the relationship between r and a is given by the formula of the area of the circle. That is, a is equal to pi r squared. So we are now going to differentiate implicitly with respect to time. So that is dA, the derivative of the area with respect to time, is equal to pi, the derivative of 2 squared is 2r times dr dt. So substituting dA dt is equal to 2 pi and r is equal to 10, which will give us 2 pi is equal to pi times 2 times 10 times dr dt. If we are going to simplify the equation, it will give us dr dt is equal to 1 over 10. So for our conclusion, the radius of the circular ripples is increasing at the rate of 1 over 10 centimeter per second. Nasabtan ba ninyo ang example number 1? Very good. Mupadayon ta sa example number 2. So, example number 2. A troop leader uses a ladder 10 meters long as one of the material for his activity, and he is leaning it against a wall. If the bottom of the ladder is being pushed horizontally towards the wall at 2 meters per second, how far is the top of the ladder moving when the bottom is 6 meters from the wall? So let's have now the solution. Again, if possible, naatay illustration. So kung naatay dingding, then ang salog na ay hagdanan nga atong gisandig sa dingding. So ang katong wall, that is ry nga variable, ang salog mo to siya ang x nga variable. Hinumdumi nga ang ladder is 10 meters. So ato adong gituklod ang ubos nga parte sa ladder padulong sa wall. So which means that our dx dt, ang x na to nga variable, is magkagamay, so that our dx dt is equal to negative 2. So that is negative 2 meters per second. So hinumdumi nga kung atong ituklod ang ubos sa hagdanan, ang y magkadako. So atong gi-expect nga ang dy dt nato is positive. So let's have now number 2. So again, the given rate of change is dx dt is equal to negative 2 meters per second. We are asked to find dy dt at the instant when x is equal to 6. So observe that the wall, the ground, and the ladder determine a right triangle. Hence, the relationship between x and y is given by the Pythagorean theorem. So that is x squared plus y squared is equal to 100. So we now differentiate implicitly with respect to time t, which will give us 2x dx dt plus 2y dy dt is equal to 0. Substituting this condition as x is equal to 6 into the equation, we have 6 squared plus y squared is equal to 100, which will give us y is equal to 8 as our initial value of y when x is equal to 6. So substitute all the given into the equation. So we have 2 times 6 times negative 2 plus 2 times 8 times dy dt is equal to 0. Ato ang i-manipulate ang equation algebraically, which will give us dy dt is equal to 24 over 16, or that is equal to 3 over 2 meter per second. So para sa atong conclusion, thus the distance between the top of the ladder of the ground is increasing at the rate of 1.5 meters per second. Equivalently, we can also say that the top of the ladder is moving at the rate of 1.5 meter per second. Nasabtan ba ninyo ang example number 2? Okay, mupadayon ta sa laing sitwasyon sa example number 3. Example number 3. A cylindrical tank with radius 5 meters is being filled with water at the rate of 3 meter cube per minute. How fast is the height of the water increasing? Let's have again our solution. So atong balikon nga ang primero nga step is we are going to have an illustration. So atong huna-hunaon nga atay baril because that is a cylindrical tank nga ang radius kay 5 meters. Gibutangan daw og tubig ang baril at the rate of 3 meter cube per minute. So, let V be the volume of the water inside the cylindrical at any time t. Let H and R be the height and radius, respectively, of the cylinder formed by the volume of water at any time t. So, we are given dV dt is equal to 3 meter cube per minute. Unsa ning dV dt? Mao ni siya ang rate of change sa volume. So, it is a positive quantity because our volume increases. So, we are asked to find dH dt, where R is equal to 5. So, unsa man ang relationship or unsa man nga equation nga atong magamit to have the variable V, H, and R. So, we are going to use the volume of the cylinder. And that is equal to, V is equal to pi R squared times H. So, if we are going now to differentiate this equation with respect to time, it will give us dV dt is equal to pi times 2, the quantity 2R dr dt times H plus R squared dH dt. Since ang dr dt nato diri kay wala man ni siya gihisgutan sa kuan, so that is equal to 0. Thus, dV dt is equal to pi times R squared dH dt. So, muna na siya ato differentiated nga equation. We are now going to substitute all the given values. So, we obtain 3 is equal to pi times 5 squared dH dt. I-simplify na to, and to solve dH dt, this will give us 3 over 25 pi. So finally, we can conclude that the water level inside the cylinder is rising at the rate of 3 over 25 pi meters per minute. I hope nasabtan ninyo ang atong mga examples. So atong hinumduman nga sa topic nato karon nga related rates, walay exact nga process or steps nga atong sundon kay ang mag-agad lamang kita sa kung unsa ang sitwasyon ug unsa ang given sa maong problem. So I guess ready na kaayo mo nga mo answer sa activity 5 sa ato ang module, sa assessment o sa additional activity nga naa sa atong module 8. Since wala naman tay igo nga oras, my dear grade 11 STEM students, I hope I was able to add up a little worthwhile information to your learning. It was indeed a very fulfilling learning experience with you in DepEd PAGADIAN City School on the Air. This is again your friendly math teacher saying, never stop learning because life never stop teaching. God bless everyone and keep safe.
Alright, so thank you very much no sa ato ang Ano man eh? Thank you so much sa ato ang radio teacher broadcaster sa mathematics. Sir Salem, congratulations sa tong very nice job nga gihimo sa imuhang teacher.
Salamat po, Ma'am Shay.
Aha. Naa ba kay idungag ato Sir Kem?
Ma'am Shay, wala na yun, Ma'am Shay. We'll discuss by the speaker this morning.
Okay, so murag ng lapas naman ta sa ato ang oras, no?
Oo.
Mangayo na lang tag mga parting words from Ma'am Mila and Sir Kem.
Thank you, Ma'am Shi. Okay, sa tanan nga naminaw karong daghan kay salamat sa inyong paghatag og panahon sa nakapaminaw sa atong duha ka mga teacher discussant, si Teacher Krisa and Teacher Chill. To all our teachers, please invite our pupils and students to listen this program, DepEd PAGADIAN Edukasyon sa Kabataan. Diri sa 105.3 FM, Malindang Broadcasting Network, every Monday for Science. Sir Kem?
Thank you, Ma'am Mila, Ma'am Shay, Sir Deno. To our avid listeners and viewers of Malindang Network Facebook, who are always with us, particularly in our program, DepEd PAGADIAN, Edukasyon sa Kabataan, especially our mathematics senior high school students. Thank you very much of giving yourselves a chance to learn on the air. Salamat kayo sa pagpaminaw ni Teacher Leonardo G. Alves. I hope you learn a lot this morning from our teacher on the topic he discussed about STEM Basic Calculus on related rates. Sa inyong tanan, daghang salamat. I always say, observe IATF protocols wherever you are. May God bless us.
Yes, Sir Dean.
Okay, naghinaot kami nga katong lesson nga ato ang gi-discuss karon bahin sa charging o sa calculus. Nakatabang kato og dako kayo sa ato ang mga ato ang mga estudyante. O nahinaot kami nga nakaabot kato sa ato ang mga ginikanan. Sa tanan nga naminaw sa ato ang mga frontliners sa labi na karon kay naa kata sa MECQ, hinaot nga mo tuman kita unsa ang maayo o dili maayo para sa kausbawan sa atong syudad sa Pagadian City ug sa ato ang atong dapit nga mapaminawan nato ang ato ang mga discussion sa ato ang modules. Sa ating paminawan nato, tanan daghang salamat ug mayong buntag kaninyo tanan.
Yes, sa pangalan sa atuang Schools Division Superintendent Dr. Danny Cordova ug sa tibuok Program Management Team ni ining radio-based instruction sa City Division, kini ang inyong higala sa kahanginan nga inyong makauban sa matag adlong Lunes, alas 8 hangtod alas 9 sa buntag. Teacher Cheryl, nagaingong knowledge is power. Maayong buntag.